Hello, this is live recording for English 155 for HRM students. Let me share my PowerPoint presentation. Share application window, share. Okay, here it is. Right, I think so. This is where we left off the last time. We're still talking about communication skills, and that communication skills are desired by business and industry. Oral and written communication proficiencies are consistently ranked in the top 10 desirable skills by employer surveys year after year. So you can see here the importance of communication skills. As HRM students, and practically any course you're taking or whatever your major is, communication skills are very important. Even high-powered business executives sometimes hire consultants to train them, to coach them, to teach them, and to make them even more successful by means of sharpening their communication skills. So there are top 5 personal qualities or skills potential employers seek. So this is just basically a review, okay? So kind of like overlapping this slide with this prelim slide with the first parts of the midterm slides. Okay, so potential employers, meaning your potential bosses, right? In case you are applying for a certain position in their company. They look for specific qualities and skills. And number 1 on the list, according to the National Association of Colleges and Employers, is communication skills, whether it is verbal or written. If you are very good at writing, and that's a consideration. How much more with verbal? If you're very good at speech, then that is a major consideration also. So they look for communication skills. Your skills, your abilities in communicating, your ability to impart knowledge, your ability to be clear with your message, your ability to make other people understand your message in ways that you want them to understand. So in that case, you share the same meaning. Next, strong work ethics. So employers look for people who have strong work ethics. That means they look at the discipline, they look at consistency in the patterns of their positive behavior as far as working in the company is concerned. And number 3, we have teamwork skills. So that is referring to one's ability to mingle and blend in with other people. All right. So that means he's able to work well with others. So you can pretty much say that that person must be able to get along well with other people of different culture, of different behaviors and characters and personalities and whatnot. Number 4, we have initiative. This is your this is something that comes from your heart, that comes from your own decision. You don't need to receive orders from your bosses. If you feel that there is a need to do something or to make something, you do it on your own and without instructions, right, from any other people, specifically your boss, right? So you have the initiative. That means you volunteer to do something, you volunteer to make something. If there is something that needs your expertise or your skills, you address it right away. And that is your initiative in action. And also analytical skills. There are many different situations that you can be faced with in an organization, in an office, in a company, in school, or wherever it is that you may find yourself working for a certain company, for example. There will be a lot of situations that you will be encountering. And some situations are very challenging, and so they need a lot of analytical skills. If you are smart, if you are very sharp, and you have careful attention to details, then you might as well have analytical skills. And if you can apply your analytical skills, then that's going to be good for you because you can understand certain issues clearly. And when you have full understanding of the situations, you have a clear mind and you can decide easily. And the decisions that you are most likely to have or to formulate will be something that is solid. Okay, so it enables you to come up with solid decision making. When I say solid, that means something that really addresses the problem, something that will really fix the problem if there's any problem in the system, for example, or anything. So analytical skills refers to your ability to analyze situations, ability to analyze things, ability to analyze problems and issues and concerns. And if you are able to analyze these things, the more you have a chance to be able to solve the problem or address the concern, whatever it is. Right. So here we have knowing this, you can see that one way for you to be successful and increase your um, promotion potential is to increase your abilities to speak and write effectively. So the last part of this text here is the most important. To increase your abilities to speak. That means to improve your speaking ability and also writing skills. So there are two things that you need to increase your abilities in, and that is speaking and writing. Not only you should be good at speaking, but you should also be good at writing because both are ways of communicating or forms of communicating messages, right? But of course, there are people who are very good at writing. There are those who are very good at speaking. They are gifted in such a way that they don't need pen and paper anymore when speaking because they can organize their thoughts and ideas in their brains or in their minds, right? So some people are gifted with such abilities. And so here we are talking about interpersonal communication. When you say interpersonal communication, that refers to communication with other people, with one or more people. When you are having a conversation at home with your family members, you are having interpersonal communication. When you are having a conversation or you're talking with your professor, or when you're talking with your friend, your close friend, your partner in life, then that is interpersonal communication. When we say inter, that involves another person, another agency, another company. So you could also talk to a company, a group of people representing that particular company. And there's communication that's happening there between you and the people you are talking with, okay, or you are communicating with. That is interpersonal. Take that inter prefix from the word international. When we say international, there are many countries involved, right? We can think of many countries. When you say inter-school competition, that means not only one school, but many different schools are competing in sports, for example, during intramurals, right? Or sorry, inter-school competitions, as opposed to intramural activities. When you say intra, where we have here number 2, which is intrapersonal communication. That means intramurals refer to sports or competitions happening only within an organization. There's only one school, for example, LCC. You are a volleyball player or maybe a basketball player, and you are competing against other divisions, for example, but the competition happens only within LCC. It doesn't involve other schools. But if the competition is open to different schools, then you call it inter-school competition. So that's where inter and intra comes from. Now, what is intrapersonal communication? We say that number 1, interpersonal communication is communicating with other people. But number 2 is intrapersonal communication. That means you are communicating with yourself. So the communication happens within oneself. Situations like you are preparing or rehearsing your lines when you're about to talk to your professor, right? Let's say you have a failing mark and you would like to ask for let's say, consideration. So you're expecting to be given, let's say, a makeup quiz or a makeup assessment or performance assessment. So before you talk to your professor, you kind of like rehearse in your mind. You're practicing your lines. You're talking to yourself. You're having like a personal dialogue with yourself, okay? And that is intrapersonal communication. And sometimes we can find ourselves while we are alone, we are also talking to ourselves, right? And we are trying to imagine ourselves in a certain situation where we are actually talking. But when that happens and you are alone and you're talking to yourself, that is what you call intrapersonal communication. Another example is when you, let's say, break something, let's say a flower vase of your mother, and this is so precious and very expensive. It's not yours, it's your mother's flower vase, but you break it. But your mother didn't have any idea. Once she comes home, or before even she comes home, you're already practicing your lines. How am I going to, what am I going to tell my mom? How am I going to tell her that I broke the vase? In what way am I going to be able to say sorry without her, getting angry? Or how am I going to convince her that it was not meant, or it was not intentional that I broke the vase? So this is intrapersonal communication. It happens within you. You're not talking to another person. That is intrapersonal communication. So it's inside. Intra means inside or into or within. Okay. That is why in the field of medicine, we have what we call intravenous approach, or maybe intravenous way of introducing medicine. So that means through injections or through shots. Okay, so the needle is going to be pierced into your skin to reach your veins, and there is where the medicine or liquid or some sort is going to be released, right? So that is intravenous. Now we go to number 3, group communication. If you're talking with your classmates, with your friends, and you're seated under a tree, for example, you're just having plain conversation, you're just enjoying yourselves, sharing stories and stuff, that is group communication. This can also happen in a more formal situation where you are arranged in a classroom according to your grouping. And so you have a task to accomplish something. Whatever that something is, you need to discuss how you're going to accomplish that with your members. And so when you're having a conversation, that is called a group communication. Probably 6 people or 7 or so. Not really very big. So that is considered as group communication. Now, when you say public communication, it's a little bit different. When you say public communication, you can imagine yourself as a speaker delivering a speech in front of a large body of audience. And so that is public communication because you're talking to the public. All right. If you are, let's say, you are invited to speak at a gathering, at a mass gathering, that is considered as public communication. Now, how many times have you seen this on video? How many times have you heard of this of these situations where there is an invited speaker, especially during seminars, right? Guest speakers get to be invited to discuss something about their field that will be beneficial to the audience, right? And so that is public speaking. So in public speaking, we deal a lot with speech, speech delivery. We have a lot of different speeches, and the famous ones we know is the Gettysburg Address, right? We also have Friends, Romans, and Countrymen, something like that. Okay, and let's say um, the president's Sona, right? That is public speaking because he is speaking um, in such a way that he is imparting or sharing content or meaning with everybody in the whole Philippines, right? That's public communication. Now, when we go to mass communication, that's number 5, we are thinking here about media. The news network, we have GMA7, the defunct ABS-CBN station or network. What else? We have PTV4, etc. And so these are agencies that are concerned or whose activities are largely um, connected with mass communication. There is a lot of reporting, handling of news, and disseminating information among the people in the Philippines or in a certain region. Okay, if there's a small station in a province or in a smaller city, then the news items and contents of the news are delivered within the periphery of their place. Okay, so that is mass communication. So with mass communication, we can imagine the different networks that we have. Perhaps you can think of news reports, journals, journalists, anchors. What else? News network, um, and many others. With public communication, there's a speaker, different types of speeches, right? Speech to persuade, speech to inform, speech to stimulate, speech to entertain. So I think I have already explained everything clearly. If you have any questions, then maybe you can take it down so that once we meet in our live discussion, it will be easy for you to, get hold of your question, right? So you can answer easily. And make sure that if you have any question, make sure that you get an answer during the meeting, the live meeting, okay? Because that is a chance to learn, right? Do not be shy. Do not hesitate to ask questions in the live stream or live session. Okay. So if you will excuse me a little bit, I would like you to pay attention to these items here. Interpersonal communication. And we also have intrapersonal communication. So I'm going to give you a little time, maybe 2 minutes, to explain to yourself in your very own words. Explain interpersonal communication, intrapersonal communication. If you can differentiate the two, use your voice, guys, right? Like you are, as if you're a teacher in front of an audience, if in front of your students lecturing or giving explanation, right? And also explain group communication, public communication, mass communication. It is very important that you formulate your sentences in English, no matter how simple it is or how no matter how impressive or not impressive it is. I don't really care as long as you practice, right? That's our main goal, and that is to be able to enhance and to make better our or improve our communication skills. So I'm going to give you approximately 2 minutes to explain to yourself or maybe share with somebody else you're with right now. And I will be back. Okay. So please focus on the screen. You can take a screenshot of this one. Just practice in your own words, starting from number 1 until number 5. Okay. Go ahead, please. Okay, you have to make sure that you're doing something, guys. So do not just wait for time to, tick away. So it is very important that you also try to say something. Practice your English, right? Because that is very important. Okay, so that is interpersonal communication. So I hope you understand all these things, and during the live discussion, I hope that you will be able to explain everything or maybe answer questions that I will be asking during our live discussion for recitation purposes. And we now go to this. One by one, we are going to have text provided here. Interpersonal communication. Um, Interpersonal communication normally involves two people, all right? But it could be more than two and can range from intimate, that means close. When you say intimate, that means you are close. So it can happen between close friends, and very personal. So from intimate and very personal to formal and impersonal. For example, you may carry on a conversation with a loved one, member of your family, for example, sharing a serious concern. And so, of course, when you talk about things that are, say, family concerns or affairs, that means um, usually the things that or the topics that you talk about with your sister or your brother or with your family members are things that you may not decide on sharing with others, right? So that means you're sharing a serious concern, for example, right? It may be about your family business or family relationships, things that you need to iron out, things you need to address, like issues or conflicts, because in the family, within families, there are also misunderstandings sometimes, among siblings, and sometimes even between children and parents, right? So when you talk, there is interpersonal communication, and communication is the key to solving problems, because if you do not communicate, nothing is actually happening, right? So that's one thing you should remember. Even in relationships, guys, if you are in a relationship with somebody and you are experiencing conflicts and issues, the only thing that you will be able to get away with such situation is to communicate, right? When you are able to communicate um, sincerely and honesty, and giving each one an equal chance to express his or her thoughts, then and react accordingly, then you will be able to come up with a solution or put an end to your conflict, whatever it is, right? So that's interpersonal communication. When we communicate with other people from different countries, that is interpersonal communication. When we communicate with people from different regions in the Philippines, or maybe different provinces, then that is also interpersonal communication. When we're using Google Meet, uh, and right now you're watching, for example, this is live, and I can react to your question. You can also react to my messages. Then that is interpersonal communication. All right, so that's basically involving two or more people. All right, and next is intrapersonal communication. And according to Wood in 1997, interpersonal communication involves one person. See, like I've explained to you earlier, it involves one person. It is often called self-talk, and that is according to Wood in his study in 1997. That was a long time ago, 1997. I was in Korea, I think. Yeah. Yes, Korea. Donovan Cates' book on interpersonal communication explains how, as we use language to reflect on our own experiences, we talk ourselves through situations. So when we are faced with challenging, when we find ourselves in challenging situations, we sometimes talk ourselves through these situations. and finally find ourselves freed from the issue, freed from the problem, and that is how communication, how powerful communication is, right? By just communicating to yourself and calming yourself down. Let's say you're playing tennis and your opponent seems to be very good and seems to have all answers to your shots and able to return, and you cannot inflict any damage to his game or her game. You are distracted and you are jammed and you get disturbed. So you would like to collect yourself and gather your thoughts and relax and be able to think of possible ways to beat your opponent in a tennis match. So sometimes when you watch videos, you can see players talking to themselves, right, pumping themselves up and getting themselves into the game. And so that is what you call intrapersonal communication. It helps a lot, um, and it boosts your self-esteem as well. So self-communication is a very good thing, I think, to practice. Right now, for example, the voice within you that tells you, there's a voice within me that tells me to do something, that tells me to say something, that is part of interpersonal communication. Something that tells you, hey, you got to keep going, don't give up, study well, this is online, we're having online classes. I know it's difficult, there are many issues, especially when it comes to technical issues, right? But this is part of the new normal, and if we just complain and complain, we are not solving the problem, we are making it worse, we are making it very bad, or mo- much worse situation for all of us, because nothing is happening when you complain, nothing is happening when you rant in social media. You're not addressing the problem that way. But if you think rather positively and just look for ways to work around the issue or whatever it is that is very challenging, then once you solve the problem, you get more positive. And once you encounter more negative things in the future ahead of you, then you know how to handle things. And that makes you a very successful person. But there are just, weak, very, very weak people who keep on complaining about technical difficulties, even the realities such as lacking electricity or no mobile gadgets or mobile phones to use or no internet connection. I've had students in summer classes who didn't have cell phones. They didn't have laptop computers or desktop computers, and they lived in the mountain. Yes, they live in the mountains, and where they do not have internet connectivity, but hey, they were able to finish their course. And so it's really amazing fact that, if there's really a will, there will be ways. If you try to be calm and focus on the things that you can possibly do in order to work around the issues, and things that you will be able to, things that you can solve, things that you can do in order to solve the problems, then that is way, way better than posting negative comments or rants in social media, right? So that is one thing you should put into your mind. Nothing's happening when you rant. Nothing's happening when you complain. We all are experiencing difficulties, especially professors, right? After your major exams, you can relax a little bit, but your professors continue working. They continue preparing lessons. They continue creating PowerPoint presentations. They continue with their recordings, and they continue creating quizzes and assessment, different types of assessment. And it takes a lot of time and energy away from them. So, and not everybody, not all professors are very internet savvy or high tech, as you may say. Others are really struggling, and so it's a pity on them. I feel so sad for those professors who are not really into gadgets, who are not really into computers, and so they're just learning how to use the computer nowadays. That, oh my God, you can just imagine how painful it is for them. They are really, really struggling. Unlike students who are very much attuned to and very much familiar with the the modern technology, the modern devices that we're using, right? Laptop computers, we have the tablet, we have the mobile phones, different apps. You can relate very well. It's easy for you. But for other professors, especially the old ones, who have not been exposed to these things, it's super duper difficult. And it's a pity. And they're pitiful. I wish I could help them, but I'm just one person who is also up to my ears with a lot of things to attend to. Uh, like having 12 preparations, that means 12 PowerPoint presentations, 12 test questionnaires, different test questionnaires, each containing 50 or more questions. You have to type in all the questions and all the answers. Formulating questionnaires eat up your time. Organizing screenshots to be submitted for attendance monitoring, and spending a lot of time for recording. Like right now, I don't have any classes today. It's Sunday, but I'm recording this video. So I'm not using Sunday for as my rest day. I'm still working. See? So this is the professor's life. Okay? I'm just sharing it with you. So it is better not to complain, right? So there are messages right at the back of your head or around, maybe hovering around your head, telling you that you can do it. Just keep doing it, right? Do not complain. When you are putting your all into completing a 5-mile race, for example, or when you are having problems with your online classes, or what is this? Or that says, this report I've written is pretty good. Sometimes you're tasked to write a report, or maybe a paragraph or two, and you're about to submit your output to your professor. And before submitting, you kind of like want to reassure yourself that it is okay. I mean, that whatever you have written is okay, that whatever you have ready for submission is something that can be appreciated, and something that is not wrong, something that is impressive, something that will generate a good score or high score probably. And you tell yourself, okay, this report or this output, this assignment output I've made is pretty good, and I'm very confident, so I'm sending it to my professor right now, and this is my submission. See, so that is intrapersonal communication. Okay, we go to the next one, which is group communication. So we are done with interpersonal communication. We had intrapersonal communication. This time we are going to have this group communication. So here it says group communication is a dynamic process where a small number of people engage in a conversation. And that is according to McLean in 2005. So it's pretty old research output. Group communication is generally defined as involving 3 to 8 people. So consider these numbers, right? 3 people talking together, that is group communication. Up to 8 people, or maybe even 9 or 10. It depends really on the circumstances or the situation. The larger group, the more likely it is to break down into smaller groups. So when you have like 10 or 12 or 15 members in one group, there is a possibility that it's better to break down into smaller groups. So you might as well break down or divide the group into 2. Then you have 5 members in each, all in all from 10 groups, right? So divided by 2, you have 5 members for each group, and that's group communication. Because if there are too many people, too many members in a group, sometimes communication is not really successful. So it's better to have a manageable number, manageable size, right? Group size. So next we have is public communication. This one. Public communication, one person speaks to a group of people. The same is true of public written communication, where one person writes a message to be read by a small or large group. So let's say we have a Facebook group and I posted their announcement regarding the assessment points that you gained, or regarding, or maybe post an announcement. And you are my audience because that is our FB group, right? I posted something there. And that is public communication, because public communication is not only speaking, but it also involves or includes writing. So when I write something on a post and then I invite everybody to, like comment and react, then we are having public communication. Me, sorry, talking to you or communicating to you, all right? So that's what it means, public communication. And the last one we have is mass communication right here. So mass communication involves sending a single message to a group. It allows us to communicate our message to a large number of people. So a large number of people is the receiver of that message that you would like to communicate. But we are limited in our ability to tailor our message to specific audiences, groups, or individuals, because this is a wide, this is a very large, super large group of people coming from different places with different educational backgrounds, with different ways of understanding things, different levels of intelligence and whatnot, right? So you cannot, we are limited in our ability to tailor our message. We cannot design our message in order to suit each individual different groups of, with different culture, with different thinking, with different ways of understanding messages, because we are we are communicating through mass comm, right? So we cannot talk to each individual and design our message in such a way that will be understood best by a group as compared to another group. Because when we talk to different groups, we are also talking to different cultures, people or group of people with different cultures, different intelligence level, different skills, different communication skills. So what might be comfortable as regards message, what might be comfortable to receive in one organization or one group may not be the same in another group. So that's where the difference lies. As a business communicator, you can use multimedia as a visual aid or reference common programs, films, or other images that your audience finds similar yet engaging. So if you understand this, let's zoom that in. All right, I want you to read this one and try to understand what it means. As a business communicator, you can use multimedia as a visual aid or reference common programs, films, or other images that your audience finds familiar yet engaging. So with the use of multimedia, such as overhead projectors with audio, right, you are able to engage your audience in a more interesting situation, and so they will focus their attention on you, right? So that is what it means. Okay, so let's now go to the next slide. Now I'm going to give you, let's say, 5 or maybe 10 minutes to finish this. I want you to take a piece of paper and copy down these words here on the left side, on the left column. You may not copy these, but you will just match, let's say, fat, and then your answer is letter A, so just write A. And then this, your answer is letter B, so you write B, right? C, sorry, number 3, your answer is letter C, and then you write C here, okay? So I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, maybe. You'll be able to finish everything here, okay? So I want you to grab a piece of paper, maybe your notebook, and try to answer all these, and then be ready also with your answers. You got to be ready with your answers. I want you to send me your answers in Edmodo as a message, okay? As a message. Or if you see an announcement for quiz, then that is where you're going to submit your answers, okay? Or I might create a quiz. I might create this quiz, but right now I want you to answer this, okay? So please take um, your pencil or maybe your pen and paper and answer this, okay? Take your time. 5 minutes is given for you, all right? I shall be back. Okay, so I think you're ready. Are you? We will discuss this and try to answer the exercise next time. So we have two. Okay, here. What do we have here? Do people use the same language? If you're not done answering the exercise, then you can finish it later. Maybe I can. Okay, you can probably take a screenshot. I'm going to post it again. There, take a screenshot of this one. Take a screenshot. And then you can work on this later on. Okay, are you done? I hope you are. So let us proceed now to the next slide. Here we have part 2. Can you match the words to their meanings? Still? But let's see what this is all about. Do people use the same language in all settings and contexts? Your first answer might be sure, but try this test. So we are going to try this test. For a couple of hours or even one day, pay attention to how you speak and how others speak. The words you say, how you say them, the pacing, that means the speed, the timing used in each context or in each situation. For example, at home in the morning, or in the coffee shop before work or class, or during a break at work with friends, or a break between classes with classmates, with family members, all count as context. So these are different contexts or different situations. That's what it means by context here. Okay? And observe how and what language is used in each context or in each situation, and to what degree they are all the same or different. So list down your observations. You can probably after this, you can probably do this after your after watching this recorded video. Okay, as practice. See, so what you are going to do for a couple of hours, maybe 1 or 2 hours. You don't need to sit continuously for 2 hours and um, list down things or list down your observations. No, not really. You can go in with your normal day, going about your routines, right? But for a couple of hours, pay attention to how you speak, how you communicate with others. Focus on the words that you're saying, how you say them. Do you say them loudly or excitedly, or just observe yourself how you communicate with people? Are you talking so fast, or are you talking slowly, or sometimes whispering or something? So take note of those things. Timing, the timing that you use in each context, or do you talk while others are not yet finished with their sentences? So proper timing may be very important. So I we would just like to find out how you communicate, right? So there are many different situations cited here as examples, at home, at the office, or maybe with your friends. Okay, so what you do is observe how and observe what language is used in each of the situations. So you might as well list down the situations, the different situations where you communicate with people, and try to list down your observations. How do you communicate? What words you say? How you say them? Is it fast talking or slow talking? All right. What timing do you use? All right. So observe how and what language is used in each context and to what degree they are the same or different. You can compare and contrast uh, your whatever it is that you have listed down. Okay. And so we go to this um, thing. Oh, this is just a copy. Anyway, it says here successful communication is associated with writing and speaking well. Okay. Successful communication is associated with writing and speaking well. So that means it is not only speaking that we should focus on, we should also focus on writing right here. Okay. And when you say speaking well means being articulate with words. When you say articulate, that means you enunciate and you pronounce words uh sorry, clearly and accurately and correctly. So that is articulate. Okay. So being articulate with words. Um, the meanings of words are not in the words. They are in us, and that is according to Hayakawa. If you understand what this means, well, that's good for you. But what this means is the meanings of words are not in the words. So the meanings are not inside the words, okay, but they are in us. So it means to say that when we articulate words, we put meaning into the words, right? When you say hello, for example, you can say hello in many different ways. You can express a lot of different emotions by the way of saying hello in many different ways, right? um, Sometimes you tell your friends hello, um, because you kind of like you are kind of like surprised that you cannot believe what he's saying, or maybe your friend said something and you do not agree, and you say hello or something like that. But in a different situation, you can say hello in a different way. For example, um, you are walking down the corridor and you meet your professor and you say hello ma'am or hello sir. So that way the meaning is different. You're just greeting, you're just being kind, you're just being friendly, right? And maybe respectful, right? So you can say words, you can articulate words. That means you say the words clearly, expressing the meaning. Okay, so that is what Hayakawa in his study said. When you communicate, you are sharing meaning with one or more other people. So remember this, guys. When you communicate, you are not only sharing a message, you are sharing meaning, because every message that you share has a meaning. And you can share that meaning with one or more people, right? For example, your members of your family, your community, your work community, your school, or any group that considers itself a group. Okay? Any group that considers itself a group, you can communicate with one or more other people. Right? So we go to, wait, aren't there any clickable items here? We do not, yeah, we did not, I think we did not miss anything. So we can proceed to the next slide. Here we have, what do we have here? 3 distinct types of messages. That means 3 unique types of messages. When you say distinct or unique, that means there is no duplicate. There is no duplicate, right? It is original. It has no, um, what do you call it? It has no copy or whatever, right? So primary message is not the whole message. So 3 distinct types of message. We have primary, secondary, and auxiliary. Primary refers to the intentional content, both verbal and non-verbal. So when you say intentional content, that means you really planned and organized your thoughts, and you have an intention of sharing it. Actually, it can either be verbally or non-verbally. So your messages can also come in the form of, let's say, body language or facial expression or hand movements or gestures, and also verbal, of course, when you use your voice. So that's what it means when you say verbal. So nonverbal includes body language, your hand movements, your eyebrow movements, your facial expression, your gestures, right? And even the positioning of your body. You communicate a certain message, right? Secondary refers to messages refer to the unintentional content, both verbal and nonverbal. So this is just exactly the counterpart of primary, right? Counterpart of primary. So here in chapter 2, we are talking about delivering your message, how you deliver your message. So if you understand deliver your message, then you understand what this means. It's just like you are a seller and you have a product for sale. So you deliver the product to the buyer, right? But in this case, in our case, you have a message and you are the communicator. And how do you deliver your message to your listener? That means, how do you formulate your sentences? What words do you use? And what other expressions there may be, um, special expressions or idiomatic expressions that are included in your sentence, or catchy ones, maybe abbreviations, whatever, if you're writing. So that's the meaning of delivering your message. Okay. With certain emotion, of course, right? Because you can say words and you can say sentences in many different ways to convey many different emotions, right? So here we have auxiliary. This refers to mess. Uh, the third type of messages refer to the intentional and unintentional ways a primary message is communicated. So it is a combination of primary and secondary. And so you refer to that as auxiliary. Okay, type of message. So don't forget the three distinct types of messages. We have primary, secondary, and tertiary. Sorry, auxiliary. Now, we have come to another topic, and this is about finding a job. All right, this is about finding a job, and we are going to consider here um, 6 things. All right, because as you graduate, after you have graduated, you will be, of course, faced with the challenge of landing a job or finding a job. Okay, and the job that you are going to most probably have will be according to your qualification, will be according to your skills, will be according to your course, right? And so, um, your question is, how do I find a job, right? So we have search engines for number one. We have company websites. We have government resources. We have career fairs. We also have classified ads. We have network. All right. So these are the things that we need to discuss. And these are tips on finding a job. Okay. Tips on finding a job. All right. Now, since we are done with this part and we are transitioning to this part, we are going, this is a new topic, right? So we are going to have a little break. So stretch your muscles, maybe go to the garden and drink some water, maybe, and take some fresh air. I'm going to put up the timer, but we are going to have only 10 minutes. All right. So once the timer is over, we are going to get back to our business. All right. So I want to start this now, and 10 minutes for coffee break. All right. See you again, guys. Right, time is up. I hope you're all back. Okay, so we were talking about this. Time is over, break time is over. Let us continue. We were talking about primary, secondary, and auxiliary. And we are done with that one. This time, uh, we are going to find out ways how to find a job. So we first have search engines. How do you find a job? So let's have this one, search engines. We have different search engines such as jobstreet.com. It was founded in 1997 in Malaysia. It's widely used in the Philippines, and it is the largest online employment company in the Southeast Asia. It serves about 80,000 corporate customers and, look at this, 11 million job seekers. So this is one of the most popular ones as far as search engines concerned when you're looking for a job. And the others include, you may take note of this one because it might help you. All right, Monster Philippines. So typing in Monster Philippines will get you to a page where you can type in maybe your information, or maybe you can apply. There are many links there. You can also visit PinoyJobs.com, Online Jobs PH. This is basically for the Philippines, right? And you also have Career Jet, and this one is Caliber, Jobs Philippines, Job Finder, Indeed, Google for Jobs, Jora, Best Jobs, Trabajo.com, etc. So these are the useful search engines that you can try once you have graduated already. It's not very long from now. Okay, there's only one more year, right? And a semester. And you will have already graduated. So use search engines. Next, number 2, visit company websites. So what this means is you check out company websites. If you know the company you want to work for, let's say McDonald's or maybe Jollibee or a hotel or whatever, check the company website to see if they have job listings that you like to apply for. Usually, company websites provide a lot of information about their company, and also sometimes they provide links to where you can submit your resume and your application letter. And they also post in their website their need for crew, their need for employees. All right, so this is a good option as far as looking for a job is concerned. You can check out job boards that focus on specific companies. So job boards are like bulletin boards that has announcements about specific companies. So navigate on the company website's career section or announcements. So if you visit company websites, look for the career section or announcements. There might be an advertisement waiting for you. Okay, so here's an example. Link up searches for jobs that are posted on company websites. So if you are familiar with LinkUp, it searches for jobs that are posted on company websites. So that means if you visit LinkUp, you might find a list, right, of jobs, or maybe it will search jobs for you that are listed in different company websites. Okay, so if, for example, McDonald's posted something like an announcement for a need for an employee, then LinkUp will search for that, okay, and give it to you. So that is one way. So let's go back to this one. The third one, so we're done with search engines. You can use company websites, right? Sometimes typing in www.mcdonalds.com.ph, it's going to lead you to that particular page you're looking for. Number 3 is government resources. Now, listen to this one, because when we say government resources, not many people know that there may be job openings, right? When you try to tap the government or get national or regional government offices, Try to reach Labor and Industrial Relations Office, the department responsible for giving career opportunities to job seekers. So it is also the job of the government to provide career opportunities to people who are looking for jobs. So try to reach the Labor and Industrial Relations Office. Okay, so that's the department. Please remember that. And others, you can check your local chamber or commerce, which typically posts local job listings. So this chamber of commerce has a listing of job openings for everybody. So you might as well check it out. This is ideal for those who prefer working near their homes, because these are people who do not want to go far away and work and go through the hassles of commuting or traveling from one place to another long distances. So that's what it means. So government resources, maybe you can go to City Hall. I'm not really sure if you have in your City Hall, like San Jose Del Monte, there may be job listings there. If you're looking for a job, maybe you can go to the office and ask for assistance. And maybe they will be kind enough to assist you. And sometimes when you go to a mayor's office, for example, and you say you're looking for a job, as soon as they see your potential, you could be hired. So it's just a matter of trying, because if you don't do anything about yourself, then nothing's going to happen, right? So that's something that you should keep in mind. Next is career fairs. What are career fairs? Career fairs are fairs or gathering of different company representatives to accommodate people who are applying for jobs, right? So check out career fairs held in malls like SM, especially SM, and also Robinsons, right? A lot of companies participate in job fairs, including government agencies that process government IDs such as SSS, your PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig, okay? And once you go to the mall, sometimes it's advertised, so you get to know if there are job fairs or career fairs. So you immediately go to the mall, and you bring your diploma, maybe your transcript of records, your qualifications for that matter, and then you apply. You choose a company, and then you apply for a position that you think you may be able to what is that whose role you may be able to play, right? So others require government IDs, so they are usually required when applying for a job. It is best that you can prepare your documents, such as your resume. So these are the things that you need to prepare: resume, your application letter, and other pertinent papers, maybe your diploma or your certificates or recommendation letters, whatever. Anything that you can use in applying in applying for a job, right? So that is career fairs. I think you've already witnessed this in one of the malls that you've been to, right? There are, especially in SM near your place, SM Fairview. Yeah. So there are sometimes job fairs there. Many fresh graduates go to the malls and apply for jobs, right? They end up being McDonald's crew, Jollibee, Kentucky Fried Chicken, for example. But that's just for a start. I mean, you're not finishing this course in order to land a job at McDonald's. Of course, you would be aiming for even bigger, but then you cannot just, go straight and skip the hurdles. You need to start low, okay? And this is the process almost anywhere in the world, unless you're very lucky to have a really good shot at a very attractive salary for a job you're applying for, right? So that's how it goes. Okay? We cannot push things. We cannot, rush things. We have to go with the flow. And so anywhere you go, it happens like this, that you really have to start from below, and then little by little you work your way going up until you become successful. And for some people, it was very successful because they were once an employee and that they have become the owners of the company, right? So it's possible. Okay. Stories like that are very inspiring, So fill yourselves with a lot of information about um, encouraging and engaging topics or video presentations, not just, content of some YouTubers that do not really make sense. Okay, so next is classified ads. You might be asking me what classified ads is. And so when you read a newspaper, look for the classified ads. Historically, this was the best way to look for a job. So several years ago, this was the best way to look for a job. Despite the massive decline in newspaper advertising because of the new technology, we have computers. It's possible to send email messages, or even Instagram posts with messages, and Twitter posts, um, Messenger post, and FB group posts, whatever. Despite the massive decline in newspaper advertising due to the existence or the beginning of internet, the classified ads is still an excellent source of jobs and very smart place to look for work. Okay. Now, why do you think so? Look at this explanation here. Because fewer people are looking at newspaper advertisements nowadays, you often stand a much better chance of getting a job when you use them compared to online job streets. There are so many people already queued and using online job sites, so it's really congested. It's really um, crowded out there, right, on the internet. And so you wait for a long time before you can get your chance. All right. But because of the decline in the printing business, because most people resort to online, right? You are standing a much better chance of getting a job because not many people are applying through classified ads. Okay. So in that case, you're not really competing with other candidates or other job seekers. So classified ads. So I've just finished search engines, we have company websites, we have government resources, we have career fairs, and now we have classified ads. And the last one we have is network. Okay, so when we say network, that means you talk to connections, like your friends, for example, if they know somebody, or if they are in one way or another connected to the owner of a certain company, then you can use your network. So it says here, talk to connections like your friends, your former teachers, relatives, and professional contacts, because they may help you. They might be able to help you. They might be having contacts with different companies, right? So these people can help by referring you to a company, right? Next, your network or your family's network of acquaintances may be a better source of information about job offerings. Oftentimes, you can get special support or the needed help from these people. All right, so this is um, offering us a better text, or a good text, or a good meaning. So it says here, your network or your family network. That means the people you know within your family, including your acquaintances, your network of acquaintances. That means the people that you know, the people whom you know. It doesn't necessarily mean if you know them very, very well, or you know them um, in just a few minutes. It doesn't really matter. But they are your acquaintances. That means you know each other, not deeply though, but you know that you recognize that each one exists in the world, right? So oftentimes you can get special support or the needed help from these people. So let's say you may have uh, a relative, let's say your aunt is a teacher, and you are applying for a teaching position in a school, and it so happens that your aunt has connection with that particular school you're applying a job, where you are applying for a job. And so your aunt could be a bridge to getting a job in that particular situation or in that particular school, right? So you can get special support or the needed help from them. Okay, so that's what it means. And so we go back to this one. So we have just finished tips on finding a job. Tips on finding a job. So again, we use search engines, we use company websites. So with search engines and company websites, also, well, basically everything. To find them, you go online, right? You use the internet for easy access of to information. Otherwise, if you are near the municipal hall, for example, or government offices that most probably are handling pieces of information about job opportunities, then maybe you can just go straight or directly to the the office, right? And perhaps submit your resume and paper stating your qualifications. All right. So search engines, company websites, government resources, career fairs, classified ads, and network. You're networking, right? You're networking. As you know, there are many women in the neighborhood who have very strong networking or very strong and yeah, very strong network, better than your internet connectivity speed, if you know what I'm talking about, right? So they never go, they never get slow. You know what I mean. They go even faster and faster. The more information they get, the faster they move, the faster they work, right? And so the spread of information is, my goodness, unbelievable, right? Okay. So what are we up to next? For this concern, we are going to discuss features of an effective job application. So we are going to learn how to maybe write or maybe just have ideas about application letters, because we have been talking about, I mean, we touched partly on writing. I mean, I mentioned something about writing an application letter, right? If you are able to communicate in such a way that your English is understandable to a level, then you're good to go. You are one lucky person, all right? So writing an effective job application letter. If you notice this, guys, we did not just say features of uh, a job application letter, but here we have this very important word, which is effective, right? So it's not just an application letter, it must be an effective job application letter, right? So there are many things that we need to correct amongst the volumes and volumes of application letters that have been written by people from different places that need correction, right? So, or that need revision in order to catch the attention of the company owners, right? Or the hiring officers. So that's what it means. And here we have a question. It says, what is an effective job application letter? So what do you think, guys? So I'm going to give you 1 minute to think. What is an effective job application letter? Anybody who can answer that? Kindly write it down in your notebook and be ready to present it in class once we have our live session. Because our live session is actually for clarification if there are points, if there are parts that you did not understand very well, then you can ask questions, okay? Or maybe there are indeterminacies or something that is not really clear. Perhaps I shifted to using another language register and that created the confusion, then you can still ask me questions. All right. So features of an effective job application letter. So we are talking about specific start. Okay. So how do you write an effective job application letter? So there are major considerations. First, we have is a specific start. So when you say specific start, that means you begin with details. You begin with what the reader is going to readily and immediately see in you that really makes sense and that really represent you as a good job seeker or potential employee, for example. And then number two, you need to explain yourself. Explain yourself. Number three, acknowledge employers' preferences. I'm going to explain this one by one to everybody, but I want you to also stimulate your brain. So, like when we say a specific start and we are talking about features of an effective job application letter, why don't you, kind of like tickle your brains and stimulate it in order to come up with some ideas pertaining to this one, a specific start, right? So not only that, explain yourself, acknowledge employers' preferences. We have request contact, relevance and adequacy of information is very important too. And of course, professional presentation. Professional presentation. So we're going to talk about this later on in our next recorded video. But all the previous videos that you have watched today, I hope you get to review and study because we are going to have discussion about the contents of those slides when we meet again. When's that going to be? Wednesday? All right, next Wednesday or this coming Wednesday. So good luck, everybody. I hope that you learned. I hope that you learned something today. All right. It is better that I hide my face during the explanation of the graphics and everything. Okay, so I will see you again. Right. Prepare something that you can present to the class, or maybe your answer to the exercise that I gave you, and also share your opinions and your thoughts, right? We will appreciate it. So I want everybody to be able to share and discuss things, right? So goodbye, everybody. Thank you for keeping up with me. Thank you.